You know, I was reading today about how SpaceX landed their new rocket with all three boosters being captured, as in they landed on a platform, they could reuse them. And it's pretty amazing, considering that until SpaceX came along, it was just disposable. Tremendously expensive, but disposable. In the medical field, there's been a move towards more precision. Precision medicine is a term some people use. In the oncology world, it's used to describe how they look at the genome of the cancer, the DNA, to see if there's any aberrations that they could target. But in terms of radiation therapy, or the counterpart of medical oncology, they actually found that being too precise is not actually very good. They usually do modeling before somebody gets their radiation therapy to figure out the precise area they want to radiate. And they actually do a very precise modeling. They usually fit somebody with a mask or a mold to hold that body part in place so they could be even more precise, because there's some motion when you're breathing and the radiation is not literally that fast. But they discovered that it actually led to worse outcomes, because it's not good to have too much precision, because you're actually missing some of the cancer when your field is too precise, because you don't actually know where it is. You may see areas that light up on an imaging study, but that doesn't mean that's the only area where the cancer is. But in the case of rockets in space, yeah, precision is wonderful. That's how we could pinpoint and place satellites exactly where they need to be. Even though these rockets are going at thousands of miles an hour. Isn't it amazing? And reusing it, landing a little rocket on a little platform in the midst of a big, big, wide open ocean, that's pretty amazing as well. When we think about technology, there's always good and bad, useful and not so useful. But many people nowadays just do it because you can. I guess this idea that you gotta get the newest thing, not because you actually know what it's gonna do for you, but just because you gotta have it. In Japan, they are also very precise. They like to say things like 145 meters to the subway entrance. That's very precise. I would say unnecessarily precise. A general estimate of how far, but isn't it better to give somebody a distance measurement rather than a measurement of time? Because we all walk at different paces, different speeds. But then when you talk about precision, well, does it take into account stairs? Because that may take a little bit more time, or escalators. How about the elevator? Google tries to be precise in their maps, telling you how far it is to get from here to here. But in Japan, they're completely off, as in utterly useless. Subway transfers are very complicated in Japan because there's a few different companies, and sometimes they have to actually go out and go back in. Sometimes they're across from each other, sometimes they're not. There's different ways of connecting. There's many, many subways, as in underground pathways. But it's very hard for Google to give you directions many times because they don't know all the routes inside structures. Using GPS, using outside routes, that's pretty easy. Very easy for a human. You just look. Well, I mean, if you have a sense of direction. But when you're underground, it's very easy to get confused. And Google has no way to tell where you are because they can't use GPS underground. They try to use other tracking mechanisms, but it's not always so precise. Plus, where are you? First floor, second floor? B1, B2? Sometimes B1 connects when the first floor doesn't. Sometimes B2 connects when the B1 doesn't. It's all very complicated. But I see Japan using precision to help them schedule stuff. In Japan, there's not much excuse for being late. Trains run on time. If they weren't running on time, you could get a note for your company as an excuse. But trains run on time. If you're late, it's basically because of yourself. But what happens to leeway? There's flexibility. Is it good to have trains that run when they arrive? Wait for a minute or two when you see nobody else take off, even though they're taking off early? Is that bad because it's a schedule they should wait upon? When I was in Zambia, I remember that they had just recently discovered this new thing called schedule. They've always had schedules before, like the bus is supposed to leave at 6, the long distance bus. But that doesn't actually leave at 6. It leaves when there's enough people on the bus. When it's full, then it'll leave, which may be 6 or 7 or 10 or 11 or 1 or whatever. Who knows? But there's some flexibility to that kind of scheduling. Here, there's no flexibility. What if you're just a little bit late? Where do you make these judgment calls? They do it all the time in airlines. So you have passengers connecting to their flight, but they've been delayed. This is the last flight night to get them home. Do they wait for them or do they not? I remember going back to Oregon one time. People were trying to go back to Eugene. It's a few hours drive from Portland, not too bad, but this was at night. The flight was massively delayed. Instead of leaving at 4 p.m., we ended up leaving at 10 p.m. The issue was that the passengers thought they could connect, but they couldn't because the plane already left. The thing is, how would you know? How do you make this call of when to wait, when to take off? How many people to cause some inconvenience for to help others save even more inconvenience? If you delay a whole plane of, say, 80 people, let 10 people come on, is that worth it? It's a treatment, it's a judgment call. And the thing is, there's no such precision in such measurements. We don't do calculations based on exact science. It's not pure math. It's not just simple arithmetic that any schoolchild could do. There are so many things to weigh. And we can't be precise about weighing them either. So what do? It's like scheduling. I asked my friend's husband about scheduling. He's a very intelligent guy with, a PhD in math from Berkeley. Later got a statistics degree because it's easier for him to get a job. But he was saying that scheduling is something. I asked him why scheduling isn't done by computers. He's like, because it's very hard actually. Humans have this intuition. They get a pretty good schedule, not perfect, but pretty good. Computers, they just can't get it. And I guess that's the thing where all this fuzzy logic is supposed to come into play. All this AI, when things are not precise. But the thing is, we depend on precise logic and precise gates and precise microprocessing units to come up with fuzzy logic. Devices, materials depend on precision. And even our imprecise things are based on precise things. Quantum I don't know much about, so I don't know if that's also true. But in terms of the world of precision, we live in a world where things are precise. If I look around me, I'm sitting here in a Haneda airport. Everything is hard, not soft. A little bit off, there's no room for error. The wall's a little bit short, it's not going to meet. But we humans are squishy things. Animals are squishy. We could squeeze through things. You look at cockroaches, they squeeze through small surfaces, like underneath a crack of a door that shouldn't seem to fit. But they do, because their body somehow flattens out. We're flexible beings. And yet we live in an inflexible world. Rather, our man-made world is very inflexible, full of concrete, wood, metal. When I dropped my phone and cracked it back, it was because the surface of the bathroom was hard. But are there soft surfaces? In the forest? On a grassy field? Why do we not have those in our big buildings? Why is everything so firm, inflexible, unforgiving? Is there a way of making it so our world isn't built on precision, but built rather flexible, made for the human being?